Greetings, I'm Rob Chappers.
I'm the Captain.
We're at Andertons.co.uk in the heart of England.
Here's another video concept for you, Rob.
What's that, Lee?
When you think of the two, like, sort of iconic super strap guitar brands,
yes,
it's probably fair that you know, Ibanez and Jackson would be two of the brands that you would think of more than anything else.
I think you're absolutely correct there, sir.
And although both those companies have kind of got dozens and dozens of models in the range now, I thought we'd go back to kind of rootsy super strap models and pick something really cool.
Like a proper RG.
Yeah, like in a sort of an not old-fashioned is the wrong word, but you know, an RG influenced style, but modern. And for me, the eponymous sort of Jackson super strap was always the Dinky.
Did you just notice that you used the word eponymous there?
I know. How posh. Have I used it correctly?
I think you dropped it in combo the right way, and I'm really impressed.
Maybe it
eponymous
is.
High five.
So I thought I'd grab a Dinky. There's similar kind of dough to the RG. And really, again, in our quest for trying not to make videos where one is better than the other, because I don't believe in that.
Although one is clearly better than the other.
I thought we'd just shoot them out and kind of go, you know, what's Ibanez's take on the super strat and what's Jackson's take on the super strat. I could have chosen a soloist, but I chose a Dinky.
Well, who came first? The Ibanez or the Jackson?
Ibanez is a much older brand, but of course the RG stuff was an 80s thing, and as was the Dinky stuff. So anyway,
let's take them away and find out in a dirty, dark
This says
room.
on the label on the back, crafted with quality in Mexico, as opposed to other guitars.
This one says RG950WF MZ1P011612144028.
This is another serial number, MXJ1506612. So if you're lucky enough to be holding one of those, you've obviously bought one of these from Andertons. But anyway, let's go back to the video room.
Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
I'm the Captain.
Welcome to the 80s.
Welcome to the 80s. And let's just switch the aircon off.
Right, what have we got? We got some pointy, dirty looking things in our hands.
Well, I don't know what the concept of this is. It's a sort of versus video. It's a sort of history lesson.
Imagine my surprise when I got an email from Lee going, hey, why don't we do an 80s shred off?
Yeah, so Wikipedia, my friend Wikipedia tells me in 1986, Grover Jackson and the Jackson Guitar Company came out with the Dinky. And in 1987, which I thought was earlier actually, but according to Wikipedia, 87 is when the first
Rob's guitar
RG series entered the catalogue. And I think I've made the mistake in the past by saying that the Gem was inspired by the RG, but I believe it's the other way around. I believe the RG was inspired by the Gem. And both shapes, I suppose, have kind of, I mean, they were instant hits, weren't they?
Yeah.
And have remained.
I remember little tiny piece of my memory as a guitar player, going to my friend's brother's house, and he had a guitar that he'd been playing for a while that the local town, Trowbridge, had like whispers about, here, you know, so you guys got a guitar over here. It's one of them Ibanez. And I go over his house and go, oh yeah, you got a new guitar? Yeah, I got a guitar. What have you got? It's an RG from Ibanez. Like, okay,
550. I think that was the first one, wasn't it? RG
it was
550.
black. And he opened the case, and it was almost like in the back of my head, something went, ah, and it went, and there was this little black RG, and I went, well, now I want one of these. And then my life was slightly altered.
I had an RG 370, I think, for about a week when I was 21, something like that.
Where is that guitar now?
And, oh no, don't know. But that was my first and only ever foray into guitars with Floyd Rose tremolo systems.
Foray, another great
Which,
word from Lee.
Probably
You're bringing
doesn't
them out,
say a
bro.
lot for how I feel about Floyd Rose systems. But yeah, so let's start with the Dinky, as it's the elder of the two by a year. Dinky, so named because the body shape is 7/8 the size of a normal Strat body. So it's a little bit dinkier.
Did not know that.
Other than that, though, I mean, it's had various forms over the years. Sometimes the headstock's the regular way round. Sometimes you see them reversed. Sometimes you see them with maple fretboards. Sometimes with rosewood fretboards. But as far as I'm aware, it's always been a bolt-on neck. It's the soloist in the Jackson catalogue that was the sort of through neck.
Oh,
the current... This particular Dinky, which is the DK2, so from the Pro series, has a slightly sort of, if you like, more modern heel joint than I've seen them done in the past. These are currently made in the Mexico, and this particular one has a Seymour Duncan JB and a 59 at the neck. Floyd Rose licensed trem, and it sells for about £800, so it's kind of like a mid-price Dinky guitar. You can still buy these from the Jackson US custom shop, but again, be prepared to part with £2,000 or £3,000. And you can buy them right down into the Jackson JS range, so, you know, £200. But I thought this was a sort of like a semi-pro kind of level. Loads of different colours. Typically, the Dinky is an HH guitar, but you do sometimes see them with HSS.
What is H?
I don't know if I've ever seen a single pickup Dinky.
I'm sure I've seen a single
maybe, you're
pickup
probably right. And it has a 5-way switch, which gives you that kind of, I guess, that PRS kind of thing where or the two extremes are the two humbuckers, and then everything in between is some sort of tapped version. In fact, hey, why don't we just show? So quite a range of tones. I was trying to get some sort of 80s metal sound out of my pedals, and actually was happiest with them all on, which is EP Boost, Guru's Sexy Drive, Fulltone Plimsoul, and Carbon Copy Delay. Love that kind of, I mean, again, I never really played this style of guitar. I was never really into the kind of guitar virtuosos of like the Vais and the Satrianis, but give me a bit of Bon Jovi or Poison or any of those other kind of glam metal rock bands from the 80s, and I'm happy as Larry.
Larry the Lamb with a giant Dinky guitar in his hands, albeit smaller than normal because it's a Dinky body. I've got...
Qu'est-ce que c'est, monsieur?
I've got Rob's guitar, the RG from Ibanez. Ooh, look at the neck. That's a pretty looking thing of joy. I'm going to say that's rosewood stripes down and... Is it an ebony neck?
Do you know what? RG, I think's evolved the most. Some through necessity recently, with various woods becoming, you know, more endangered. But I think Ibanez, for me, have been a bit more pioneering than someone like Jackson, in the sense of, you know, they've invented their own trems, they invent their own pickups.
Yeah.
They very much, you know, they come up with, you know, the wizard neck thing is a very Ibanez thing.
They're kind of utterly fearless.
Yeah, so although it's...
And then you get some extremes, like you get some really odd-looking signature models for some sort of crazy 7-string players, and you get some sort of really standard-looking kind of single-cut-looking shapes too, which are really cool.
Yep.
So they ventured into the traditional, ventured into the realms of weirdness, and yet they bring you the RG goodness whenever you need it.
But I think what we really, really wanted here was, let's just hear the tones on this, but then I really want Rob to kind of shred off and compare the trem systems and just the general thing. This is an RG 950. It's a smidgen dearer than the Dinky, but it's still roughly-ish in the right ballpark. So this is about 800, this is about 900.
So it does some clean tones, although I've got kind of a gunned clean channel.
Yes.
But no one wants to hear that, mate. I find it a little bit harder to play than normal because it's such a skinny neck.
Wow.
So makes it a bit
What's
easier.
happened to you, man?
Well, no, I've
Growing up,
grown
that's
up.
what it is.
I got woke, bro. I got woke because what happened makes it a little bit easier for things like. Well, that kind of playing.
Or you need smoke, some special effects thing coming off the fretboard.
When you do the sort of the quick picking type tings. But when it comes to the. I find that a little bit, just a little bit harder to do. And I think what you get with a thinner neck is slightly less sustained. Would you agree?
I've heard that theory before, and
Unless you hit a standing wave sweet spot, I find. I'm not knocking thin necks. I love a thin neck, but I find sometimes, although it's really good for the jigga-da-ga, you get a little bit less of them.
Well, let's try this.
Pete Honoris going. Like
the Dinky has a slight, I think probably a more Fender traditional kind of feeling neck on it. But let's have a listen. I'm interested really just in your opinions.
Yeah, I find this easy to play in general. Yeah, I find it.
Do
I
you know
find
what?
this neck more pleasing to my hand.
I thought you were, if anything, marginally quicker on this guitar and a lot more, lot more pinched harmonics.
Yeah, it's much easier to pinch. I prefer those pickups.
Right.
But I prefer this neck shape. So what's interesting is these are Seymour Duncans and those are DiMarzios.
Oh.
Now we're getting because technically I'm kind of with Seymour Duncan. So, but there you go.
They both make great pickups, don't they?
You know what?
And,
it's magnets and a bit of wire. Shut up.
Yeah. So look, again, I'm not sure that either of these particular colours are terribly indicative of what you'd expect. Certainly not this one. This is quite a different colour. Although the scratch plate is very traditional Ibanez RG. So ignore the colours because there's like a zillion colours you can get in both these guitars. I don't know really what I...
How do they tap?
I don't know.
Have a little off, man. Let's just have a little see, because sometimes. How many if you're testing shreddability 80s? This has got slightly more chewy thickness to the tap.
Yeah, it feels like there's a bit more note definition and just easier.
It's easier for the legato too.
Right.
The humbuckers have got more definition when you do that kind of thing.
Well, look, this review absolutely isn't supposed to be this guitar versus this guitar. It was simply a kind of two iconic shapes and designs from the sort of mid to late 80s. And maybe we'll do that again, later on with, maybe an other iconic, like a soloist versus what's another classic guitar from that era? An ESP.
Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer's, Schecter's.
PC Rich Warlock.
Could do. You never know.
I got one more test, Lee.
Go on.
The dive bomb test. They both test the dive bomb test. Yeah, they both.
Let's jam out. Every cowboy plays a sad, sad song. Every rose has its thorn. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Andertons Guitar YouTube channel. If you're a drummer or a keyboard player or interested in music technology, you might find one of our other channels interesting, and I'll put details of those in the description below. If you want to find out more about the products we've just featured, please click here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this, please click here. If you want to watch another video on our guitar channel, click down here. And to subscribe to our guitar channel, click here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.